Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Sergio Nazzaro podcast. I'm Sergio Nazzaro, the founder and CEO of, my life. I've grown up here in Colorado and I've decided to stay put as I continue to pursue being an entrepreneur and growing my business as a real estate agent. Prior to this, I graduated from the United States Air Force Academy and served my country for 11 years before becoming a CrossFit coach. I have a lovely wife, Lizzie, and we are in the process of growing our family and living here in the Swans Lake neighborhood. For the last 2 years, I've committed to documenting my process in both my personal and professional life as a means of journaling, and hopefully helping others along the way. So listen in as I share the next chapter of my story. What's up, everybody? This is my first solo podcast. So I've been doing this for a little while, and I decided that I'm going to venture out and start a little something new and just start to share my narrative. And so welcome to the first relaunch of the Sergio Nazzaro podcast. And so I want to share a few things from this past week. I just wanted to kind of document what's been going on. Today's an interesting day, right? Because today marks the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And I always find it interesting to reflect back on this day, right? I had the opportunity to serve my country. And I think this date 20 years ago was a catalyst that changed the trajectory of, so many people's lives, but it really changed the trajectory of my life because it was the final decision, or it was the final thing that happened that made me realize I wanted to serve my country. And so I got to go to the Air Force Academy. And I went into that venture of my life, knowing that I wanted to deploy. I wanted to deploy to Afghanistan in support and in operations of, what was going on in Afghanistan. And it's interesting because we were the first high school graduating class to basically raise our hands and say, hey, we want to serve in our military right after some significant, massive event, right? We were the first ones knowing that we were going to get deployed, and we signed up for that. And, as I approached the last year of my Air Force career, I still hadn't deployed. And so I called up Air Force Personnel Command. The best thing I could say, that's probably like Air Force Human Resources. And I called them and I was like, hey, do you have any deployments coming up? And they're like, we have one to Afghanistan. I was like, cool, I'll take it. And they're like, okay. And the next day I looked in my email and there it was. I was tasked to go to Afghanistan. And so I got to go over there for 7.5 months. From 2012 to 2013, and it definitely opened my eyes, right? I went over there with an open mind about what was going on, and inevitably I came back realizing that at that point we didn't need to be there. Now, I still believe that our entrance into Afghanistan was important right after the attacks of 9/11, but I still am unsure on at what point we should have been out of there. Leaving there, I had different feelings than coming in. It was a hell of an experience. I saw things and experienced things that I don't think anybody should ever have to. Fortunately, I was never in combat itself. I never had to raise my weapon. I never had to do any of that, which was fortunate for me. But you do see people lose their lives. You do experience a lot of different things. And I'm very grateful for that because it helped shape me, it helped me overcome adversity. It helped me tap into a depth in my body, my soul that I never knew was there. And I often think, it's these moments of adversity that we don't want, these moments that happen to us where we struggle with them. And I often think that those are the moments that teach us the most. And so today, as I reflect back on 9/11 and the events that transpired that day, you definitely have to honor the women, the men, and the children that lost their lives, both the day of and the weeks that followed. But you also have to know that, I am grateful, looking back on that it forced me to make one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And so, the day doesn't fall short on me of what happened. But also, it's a mixed bag of emotions. So unique day. It's going to be really hard to transition from this topic to the next, but the next thing that kind of came up this week is this concept of comparison versus competition. So I'm a real estate agent. I mentioned that. You guys probably heard that in the introduction. And last year in 2020 was one of the best real estate years in production that I've ever had in my entire life. I was second within my organization, sold 52 homes in a year, did $30.6 million in volume. And I share that because I wanted to give you kind of like a baseline of the level of production I was doing. And so I think that put me at like 150th in the entire state of Colorado, but I sacrificed everything. And the concept of competition versus comparison, I thought in 2020 that I was doing it because I was competing with myself, or I was competing against other people within my company, a healthy competition. But what I've come to realize, and it was evident this week, is that it wasn't competition. It was me comparing myself against other people and then tricking myself into believing that it was competition. And at the end of comparison is some gnarly shit. Like when you start to compare yourself to others, when you start to compare your life to somebody's, highlight reel, you can get really wrapped up in some dark shit. And I think, you can see it on the internet. People, get caught up in how many likes people get, how many followers, right? I've been guilty of that too. But this week, I've really taken some time to really think about the difference between comparison and competition. And I don't know that I'm in a spot to say that I'm not comparing, or that I can really just say that, hey, I'm competing with myself. But I think I've become a lot more self-aware of what, how easy it is to fall into comparison. And what happened this week is, at Eddie Z, at my real estate brokerage, we have a monthly, basically like a scoreboard that comes out, and it shows where you rank against other agents in the office. It shows how who did the most volume in one month, who has the most transactions, and I decided to put that on auto delete. I put that in my spam folder. I rarely know where I stand. This week somebody sent it to me, so I knew, but I found myself falling into old habits, clicking through, comparing myself, right? When all year, all I've been doing is doing my best, competing against myself. I've really tried to make that adjustment, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect at it, but what I would say is that in my experience, sometimes we have to put on those blinders and we have to run our own race, and we can't look at what other people are doing. We can't look and compare, because inevitably we can really beat ourselves up, and it's a dangerous path to go on. So I've taken, some really unique steps in my life to, try and put things on social media and then not check to see how they perform, or, put on a filter to where I'm not checking the scoreboard because I know that it's not going to serve me. And so, there's little things that I'm doing, but what I love is that I'm starting to create an awareness around the difference between comparison and competition. And when I find myself going down that comparison route, I really just try and take a step back and ask myself, why? Why is that happening? Where is there a void in my life? And it's really helped me kind of stay centered. So I don't know if you guys go through that, but there is definitely something to be said about, just being a little bit of awareness, having some awareness around comparison versus competition. In that kind of, in the same real estate vein, right? Talking about production, I have 4 new listings coming to the market this week, which that's a lot. That's a lot of listings hitting the market all at once. And, there's some prep work going into those. And, I always find it interesting, working with different types of clients. The clients that are referrals and people that I have great relationships with, they tend to run really, really smoothly because we have a relationship. We've built rapport. There is that trust there. And then when I get referral business, a lot of times, especially in this market, things move so quick, and you don't always have time to build this deep rapport with these individuals. And so one of my goals as we go through and get these homes listed is to really build some rapport. Because inevitably, having a good relationship and letting these, my clients know that they have somebody in their corner, and that I'm not just another real estate agent trying to collect a paycheck, is important to me, right? That's my why. I got into this because my parents got taken advantage of by a real estate agent, and it changed our entire lives. We ended up homeless. That's how we ended up in Colorado. That's one of the reasons I had to go to the Air Force Academy, is because my parents couldn't afford college. And so I chose to pursue that route because it's what made sense for me and my family. It allowed me to get an education, but it's my why. And so have I been guilty of just collecting a paycheck? Yeah. I'd be lying to you if I said that there weren't transactions that were just transactional, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it, because that's not me. That's not who I want to be. And so, as I got preparing for some of these listings this week, one of them is a referral. And, we got the photos done at their house. And they had this awesome garage, like 4-car garage. It's super deep, like got workbenches in it. And the photographer forgot to take fucking pictures of the garage. And I didn't catch it. And so I got a phone call from the homeowner, and they were frustrated, and rightfully so. Like, they were frustrated. And so I had to go over there to basically talk with them and let them know, I had to own it, right? Like, I believe that, no matter whose fault it is and something happens, it's always my fault, right? That's entrepreneurship. You do well, and you got to share the wealth with all your team and everybody else. You do poorly, and it's 100% on you. And so I went over there, and we had a great conversation, and I was very grateful for his feedback, right? A lot of times I'll get to the end of a transaction, and I won't know anything that may have gone wrong. And then if something goes wrong, right? It's real estate. It's like a fucking wooden roller coaster. There's bumps everywhere. There's potholes, right? But what I loved about it is that he brought it up to me in the moment, allowed me to correct everything, make it right. And so we got the photographer out there the very next day at 10 a.m. Photos were taken out of the garage, and they're up, and he's happy with it. And I think it's really important that, you listen to your clients. If you're in a business, or you're starting a business, or you're a real estate agent, whatever the case may be, like, listen to your clients, check in with your clients, give them an opportunity to give you feedback, because they need to know that you're in their corner. And so it was a great experience. And Lizzie was like, "Are you okay? Like, that seemed a little abrasive from your client." And I was like, "I like it. I like having that opportunity to fix things. I would rather them tell me in the middle of it than tell me at the end after it's all over," right? Kind of like when you're in a relationship. I would rather have my significant other or a friend tell me, "Hey, you fucked this up and I need you to fix it," versus like them just holding it in and letting it fester, and then resentment gets created, and now they're mad at you. Bring it up. Air that shit out. Air it out like dirty laundry. Let people just feel it and get it over with. I think that's kind of the best way to live. So, interesting experience, but hey, 3 awesome listings coming up this weekend. I'm so excited for them because I know that, they are excited to kind of close those out and start their next chapter. So, man, doing a solo podcast is interesting. You're not really talking to anybody. I give you a lot of credit to the people that can do this. Radio talk show hosts are, pretty good at this. So 2 things, right? One is, the last couple things before I kind of wrap this episode up is, I found this new app this week that I'm kind of testing out. My buddy Adam Griffin told me about it. It's called Day One, and you should go check it out in the App Store. I'm still toying around with it, but basically it's like a online social media journal for you, right? Nobody else is going to see it, but it allows you to capture photos. And I'll try to put a screenshot in. It allows you to capture photos. It allows you to capture audio. You can put video in there, and then you can journal, different entries on there. So throughout this week, I'm taking photos of different things, right? Like I got a photo of the cat on the stairs because she was just like throwing out a good vibe, and I wanted to capture that. And it made me laugh. And so I put that photo in there and just put, hey, grateful for having this photo in there because it made me laugh and it kind of made my day. But it's cool because you can go back and look at the calendar and kind of scroll through it, click on that day, and you can see your journal entries for that day. You can have it synced to your social platform. So if you post a photo on Instagram and you want it uploaded into your calendar so that you can put a separate journal entry in there, you can do it. I'm still toying around with it. It's super new, but if you're looking for like an online journal versus, maybe writing things down or put it in a Google Doc, check it out. I still am out. I don't have a full review of it yet. I can't tell you if it's like a 10 out of 10 would recommend, but so far I'm liking it. And I'll definitely kind of keep you guys updated on that. The last thing that I want to share with you guys, and I hate to end on a heavy note, but this week I lost a buddy. So my prep school roommate, right? The first person that I met at the United States Air Force Academy prep school was my buddy Robert Kraay. And he was this tall guy. He must have been like 6'7". He played football. I'm 5'6". I'm not a big guy. And I'll never forget the first day we were both scared shitless. And so we both go to bed. I'm on the top bunk. He's on the bottom bunk. And the first day of basic training, they wake you up by banging on your doors and they are blasting "Welcome to the Jungle." And the second that happened, our door was the first one that they knocked on and they pounded on it. I fell out of the top bunk, Kraay got up, tripped on me, fell on top of me. We both started laughing, and then we were both scared shitless. But it was in that moment that we kind of came together. And we really bonded to help each other get through not only basic training for the next 6 weeks, but also a lot of the first semester, blues at the prep school, breaking up with girlfriends, or should I say having girlfriends break up with you and then you have to deal with it, being homesick, adjusting to being in the military. And so, it's, we lost him this week. And it's unfortunate that when you lose somebody, it makes you realize that you could have put more time into our relationship. Like, we weren't super close after the academy, but he always checked in on me. And I can't say that I did the same for him, but inevitably, when somebody passes away, it's a moment for reflection. You get to reflect on the relationship, you get to reflect on the person's life, but you also get to do some self-reflection and realize, are you in alignment? And, I've had 2 people pass away this year, 3 people pass away this year. And whenever that happens, it gives me a chance to figure out if I'm aligned with who I am, if I'm aligned with my values, if I'm aligned with the person that I say I am, that I want to be. And it's a daily focus to stay aligned. It really is. But I think you get this moment, this really analytical moment when death presents itself to analyze everything that's going on. And so I'm in the middle of processing it. I'm in the middle of using it as a moment of reflection. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Robert, Kraay. I'll see you on the other side, homie, and I hope you rest well, rest easy. So that's the podcast for this week. Listen, I'm in my brand new house, which is why it looks like I'm in a prison cell. It's a white background, so you'll see things evolve. And this is the first one I've ever done, so it's only going to get better from here. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, and have a great week.